Eamon Khan here with Duke McKenzie, MBE, former three-weight world champion, Duke McKenzie of Jukebox as well. Make sure you are subscribed, hit that like button as well to support Duke on his YouTube journey, giving you his takes on the world of boxing. And we have a big topic to discuss straight away. The news that has rocked Matchroom boxing specifically and the boxing world. We've seen Conor Benn leave Eddie Hearn to go to what many would say would be his nearest competitor, Dana White, UFC, and Zuffa Boxing. Your reaction to that news, Duke?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise me, but it does. I think, you know, that old Mickey Duff saying that it's a coin of phrase. Mickey Duff used to say, "If you want loyalty, get a dog." And I'm sure if he would have copyrighted that saying, he'd have been a millionaire anyway. He was already a millionaire, Mickey Duff. I'm talking about, but he should have absolutely, got that one off to a fine pattern, made a nice few quid because there's no such thing as loyalty in these days. I don't think boxing's any different to any other sport, but you would have thought the amount of money that boy's made in his last two fights with Eddie Hearn, and it's a well documented fact that Eddie Hearn's gone through, life and death and backed him to the hilt. When all the allegations were coming out about different things that were happening to him, Conor Benn I'm talking about, for him and in his life, but Eddie Hearn was in his corner every which way and stood by him every which way and wouldn't have a bad word said about him anyway. And now it's like he shafted him and he's gone with his biggest sort of rival, his biggest sort of menaces, if you like, in Dana White. Like I say, it shouldn't surprise me, not really. I don't mean because it's Conor Benn. I can give an unbiased opinion about Conor Benn and keep my personal feelings to myself about what I think about him. That's not hard because this is the business that we're in. I like to be professional at all times. So has he done the right thing? He's probably done, given his mindset, Conor Benn, given what I know of him. Like I say, we've had a brief discussion, me and him, when we was in Dubai, and he told me then, under no uncertain terms, he's a multi-millionaire. So all that really said to me was he cares about the money. So should it surprise me? No, not really. It doesn't really surprise me. Has he done the right thing? Only time will tell. When you look at boxing in the cold light of day, to the armchair fan, I'm talking about, not to the people that are in the know, or not the promoters, not the managers, the trainers, not the people that are in the know, because they know what this sport is. To the armchair fan who identify with this sport, and they look at this sport and they say, right, you've got your four main governing sanctioning bodies, right? WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO. They're the four main sanctioning governing bodies. If you hold one of those belts, you're a legitimate world champion. Now, I don't know if Dana White's going to work with any of these organisations. It wouldn't appear so. It appears that they want to have their own, is it 8-weight division champions of the Zuffa organisation, I'm told. I don't know how seriously you can actually take that organisation. I mean, the actual belt, the credibility of their belt, because it's notwithstanding, it doesn't hold any real clout. The oldest organisation that there is, I believe, is the WBA, which has been in existence from day dot, followed by the WBC, followed by the IBF, followed by the WBO. So those are those are the four main governing bodies. If you hold one of those belts, you are a legitimate world champion. I don't know if you hold the Zuffa world title, if that makes you a legitimate world champion. It can't do, because this is like they just plugged this one out of thin air and they want to parade as world champions. So, like I say, only time will tell, because, there's a lot of good fighters out there in the welterweight division, which I don't think Conor Benn can make the 10 stone 7 division limit for the welterweight, the 147. And as for the 154s, the light middleweight division, equally, there are a lot of good champions in that weight division. You know, Boots Ennis is going to clean up in the 154s, the light middleweight division. So the question remains is, are they, that is Conor Benn and his team, are they gonna get a legitimate world title fight for one of the main belts, or are they gonna pluck somebody out of thin air, let Conor Benn fight for a vacant Zuffa title, and then he's gonna call himself a world champion? Is he? That's the question. You know, is that believable? I don't think so. So, you know, I mean, yeah, all these questions are going to be answered very, very shortly, very, very shortly, I should say. Take my gum shield out. And, you know, we're going to find out whether this is just a springboard to call out the bigger names in the world of boxing, you know, the like middleweight world champions or the welterweight world champions. Well, I don't know what weight they're going to fight, actually. I don't even know, because nothing's been said, has it? They haven't made a statement about that as yet. So, but I mean, you know, it has rocked the boxing world in as much as it hasn't rocked my world, you understand, but it's rocked Eddie Hearn's world, because Eddie Hearn has stuck by that boy, and you know, he wouldn't have a bad word said about him. And now this has all come to pass. It's not a good look, is it?
Eddie said in his interview with IFL that he knew about it for some time, and he also tried to get to a point where maybe he could bring Conor Benn over to continue his relationship with Matchroom Boxing. That didn't seem to be in the offing, and he received a letter from Ben's lawyer essentially signaling that he was moving on. And when he went to call Conor Benn, which he felt he deserved at least a phone call conversation, Conor Benn declined and told him no. I just want to know your reaction to that, and also what would be the correct way to leave a promoter or someone in boxing that you've been with for so long? Is there a proper, correct procedure to follow?
Oh, sure, there's a correct procedure to follow, given the loyalty that Eddie Hearn has shown Conor Benn. Now, if you're saying to me that Eddie Hearn's called Conor Benn and Conor Benn wouldn't answer the phone to him, is that what you're saying?
It didn't even get to that point. Eddie requested a phone call, we believe, and Conor said no.
He wouldn't talk to him. That's bad taste. That would leave a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, why wouldn't he talk to him? Surely the correct way, if you're gonna part company with your manager, trainer, promoter, whatever it is, surely you'd put a phone call in first and call a meeting, and you know, have a face-to-face discussion and put your point across as to why you're leaving. It can't be for financial reasons, because we all know how much money that boy's made in his last two fights with Eddie Hearn. So unless Dana White's offered him much more than what he's been getting, A, the question's got to be how much is enough? B, surely to God, he should have met with Eddie Hearn and had a face-to-face discussion with him, face-to-face discussion, man to man, and you know, because ultimately he is his own man. Conor Benn, he's his own man. You know, he speaks up for himself. He doesn't speak down. He doesn't shy away from anything, certainly. So you know, he's not scared of Eddie Hearn, and there wouldn't have been that fear factor. Even if he was going to leave him, he's not going to be fearful of leaving him, because he's done it anyway. So that doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth, does it? You know, he shafted him. Ultimately, he's gone, no, you know what? I don't want to work with you anymore. I mean, I don't know the implications, because I haven't seen too much about it. But maybe I should have a little look.
Eddie suggested that he essentially feels he's mischaracterized Conor Benn in that he was expecting that loyalty in the same way that Anthony Joshua has given him, in the same way that he backed him, like you mentioned, during the drugs test for clomiphene, which had showed an adverse finding for in the lead up to the Eubank Jr. first fight. But is there, and to be full with the conversation, is a fighter not entitled to have conversations and see what the lay of the land is if they don't have a deal in place, if they don't have something concrete in place? Is there that there that a fighter can shop around, and if the promoter hasn't got the offer in the front of the table or they want to move on, that they can do?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, if he's a free agent, then sure, he can shop around and go wherever he wants. I mean, that's obviously the case. I mean, all I've seen on this so far is Eddie Hearn. Literally, I'm sure he's been crying. He looked so hurt to me on social media. He was trying to play it down, but I think there's a lot of emotional attachment involved, certainly from his end. He gave that boy his all. He's made that boy a lot of money. He's made him a household name. He's a celebrity in every sense of the word. Conor Benn's a celebrity. He's not a world champion, but he's a celebrity. He's made money off the back of his name. So, boy, like I say, it shouldn't come as a shock, but it is a shock. Is Conor Benn right in shopping around? I mean, it would take a phenomenal amount of money for him to do what he's done. So, you know, Dana White's obviously dangled the real golden carrot, let's put it like that. And he's gone, well, that's more than what I was getting. I'll grab it. I'll take it. You know, boxing's a very short career, as you know. You want to make as much as you can and come out of the sport healthy so you can spend your money. But it's also probably in your best interest to have that person, that your paymaster, they got to have your best interests at heart, and they got to look after you to a degree. Dana White's not tested in that department as yet, where boxing's concerned, because he's the new kid on the block. He's only just come into this. Eddie Hearn's been in this game for a long, long time. You know, he's his father's son, so he's been brought up into boxing, knows the game, you know, really, really well. Can't fault that. Can you fault Eddie Hearn as a promoter? No, you can't. Can you fault him as a manager if that's what he is? Highly unlikely. He's made Conor Benn a household name, a household brand, if you will. So he must be devastated, Eddie Hearn, and which again, it has a bad reflection on boxers as a whole, because not all boxers are like this. Not all boxers would do that. I can only speak from my own personal experience in boxing. I had the same manager from start to finish. Even when people were saying to me all the time, Mickey Duff's ripping you off, Mickey Duff's this, Mickey Duff's that. But, you know, what price do you put on loyalty? Because ultimately, that man made me a 2-time British champion, a European champion, and a 3-time world champion. So, you know, what price do you put on the loyalty? That was his loyalty to me, securing me those opportunities. And my loyalty to him was, obviously I had to win those opportunities, but, you know, I stayed loyal. Even when I knew the money weren't great. I just knew the money, I knew I could probably get more money somewhere. All right, not like what it is now, but, you know, there was 1 or 2 offers that came in. But like I say, I stayed loyal.
Gee, that's a good place to leave it. Appreciate your time. Everyone, make sure to get subscribed to Juke Box for much more of Juke McKenzie's takes on boxing, including breakdowns of boxings and, of course, latest reactions to the news. Juke, thank you once again, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Emma. I appreciate you, mate.